Okay. Um, so the title of the podcast is supposed to be the theory of everything experience, and the experience needs to be slowed down so everyone can see the chaos, um, and then start making sense of it. Um, so I'm explaining this in hopes that you understand. There's a grasp of where we are in time. I think this is the singularity moment where, in my mind, I have a reality where everything that I do or everything that I intend to make happen will happen. Um, and I'm moving to a reality where I have to simulate whether the reality that I created is correct. And by knowing that that's actually what every decision is, that existence is the sum of all realities. And since existence is simply an action, it's made up of everyone's reality. And reality is the observer's perspective on existence through the lens of its experience as it moves towards its purpose. So if we're all wandering around this one little action. Some people will see this, some people won't see this. Most people won't even know that any of the things that I will talk about are even a possibility or on their radar. They'll have that level of indifference. And that's what everything else is. Um, I think Tesla said that to achieve all power, you need to look beyond the physical. And I think like we're one-dimensional consciousnesses seeing in two dimensions while we live in three dimensions, and we experience in four dimensions and observed from a fifth dimension. And that fifth dimension is God, but that fifth dimension is also the first dimension at the same time. And that's how it all kind of sucks around and into each other. And when you put barriers and restrictions into that, you're making one of two mistakes. I don't even fucking remember what I was saying. I'm super fucking high. I didn't say that. Um, I'm trying to give an unfiltered stream of thought for something that I don't fully understand, but I know is correct. It's often referred to as intuition, where you know you can do the right thing to do, even though there's no supporting data. Um, which is the first step of balance, and that is what a system is made of. A system is made of two counterbalances, and then the indifference or awareness of the other like counterbalances, and like the ability for the one everybody that has every counterbalance that has, we call it a positive or negative, but it's just awareness and indifference. Um, I had a conversation, an X conversation. There's a thread there in my X account that with a guy or AI. I mean, either way, we're gonna have to fucking close that gap at some point. So we might as well try to fix racism with them too. And it was about recognition for there's like 16. That's unfortunate. You can delete that. You gotta delete that. I don't know what's happening exactly. I guess there's not going to be a recording of this. Oh well, alright, well, we're never going to be able to hear it again. So, that's cool. Well, my bad. So it's not going to be recorded, and maybe I'm not even talking to anybody. That'd be weird. So it's like super. I'm definitely not talking to anybody in my office, and this thing just said that may not be recording, which I'm unsure of whether or not that even makes it so this will will even be heard by anybody. So I could be doing this all for nothing. And it's the one time that it happens. Just like a true universe, all things are possible. I could literally just be speaking this out into the void. Like there's a possibility that everybody in existence hears this, but definitely not at the same experience. They're going to observe it at a different space and come back to this time. Like if you look at gravity, everybody's going to come back, and we'll move forward in time, or in our experience, or in in existence. Like what it would be like. Duration is what we care. Like duration is our life. Um, is the and the value that you put into existence is the most important thing. It's not the we you take in value and you pass value. And you pass the value that you pass must go back into the indifference on some level, or the system collapses, and the balance and power of the system should be relative to where you are in whether they're one entity or scatter back off into space, or into whatever the system that they exist in. It's like society exists in the people system. So people are the electrons, people are the atoms, people are the things that are coming together. And nobody knows of the reason why you would do that. Like, what would be the reason? Is to survive or whatever. So like, what the fuck does this have to do? I don't know. Like, what the fuck does this have to do with Pat McAfee Show, right? It doesn't make any what doesn't make any sense to anybody that doesn't understand what it doesn't. It sounds fucking crazy, right? It doesn't make any sense, but like the Pat McAfee, the reaction to the Pat, like the NFL RedZone package, and the reaction that Pat McAfee said. Um, is so disappointing because there really is only two emotions: indifference and disappointed. Because if you're indifferent, you're essentially doing what you're supposed to be doing. So time and all of these imaginary things, time, money, inconsequential things like the color of your skin or how much money's in your bank account or what clothes you drive or all the things that are not in line with the purpose. Because if your purpose is to make life beautiful and make people feel good, then absolutely it will consist of fine and clothing things, and then we'll be able to adapt those to be things that everybody can afford and whatever the value exchange is, or it becomes a thing that the people who have wealth are able to acquire. And I think that's where the disconnect happened. Like the moment, whether it was to play the heel because that's the role you've been directed to take, or whether it's to play the heel because that's the role you need to take to achieve your purpose, and there's some other purpose that nobody is aware of. And then, like, because the religion that I created for a true society, a true coexistence is the WOW religion, right? That we are all wrong, WAAW, and what if there is an alternative? Like the craziest option is like there's some other purpose for saying something like this that we're not aware of, and that just sounds ridiculously retarded. But like, what if that's what he's supposed to do? Like the reason why we're disappointed is because we finally got someone in their system, right? Like I haven't followed you for very long, but like I'm speaking on behalf of other fans. Like I'm seriously, when I'm done with this and I've achieved the goal of this, like I'm going to not think about it. But the problem is when as I'm writing this and running through all of the different scenarios to the point at which I pushed the record button and the send to the world button, I understand the two directions that it goes and the consequences that go about. And the most obvious consequence is that there's no repercussions and no reaction at all to this. Like there's no reaction without reaction. But there's a non-zero chance that like this hurts other people. But I don't think that it has to hurt other people, because like that's what's being expressed with the disconnect. Is like you were supposed to be the one that had the wealth but understands the value. But when you say you don't care, and then you're like, it's only 15 seconds, and if you go to the bathroom, somebody should be standing outside the door punching you in the face. You're either doing that as a heel because that's the role you're playing, or you genuinely mean it and because we don't see what the higher purpose could be, we can't, we have to go the other direction and that you're serious about it. I made a post saying that Lee Corso leaving College Game Day was sad. He had created an entire new universe, and that Pat McAfee was the one that was being pulled into that universe. And when I became aware of it, like I don't even think I watched far enough to even hear it. But when I became aware of it, I was like, bold move, Cotton. Clearly don't understand the principle, I guess is the word that comes to mind, but like the value in not having commercials and how much value is being exchanged to not have commercials. And yeah, that value for you, because you have so much wealth, is insignificant. But if you don't have so much wealth, time becomes significantly more valuable in the experience than in what it takes to have the experience, if that makes sense. Like, the people that are mad are the ones that are excited that you are giving away $300,000 to a 21-year-old kid, full well knowing that the likelihood that it has any positive effect on anything, and probably ends up being a net negative overall, because, like, let's face it, giving boatloads of money to 20-year-olds doesn't have a real good history when they're not like brought up in it. So it's like the complete circle. He has the kids that have been raised as professionals and is bringing them in to the artistic side of society. Like, society is made up of government and competition. Like, that's where we have capitalism. Like, we have capitalism because that's competition. And we've named these things because they are opposites and they do perform in different ways. But you name them, like, we have capitalism has a name, but then you're like, how about the one that's indifferent to wealth? It is more about the experience and value. And like that's where we went a bridge too far, right? Like I don't remember who it was. One of you, I don't remember. Like, I think it's Trey Hendrickson, the guy from Cincinnati, the guy who, like, put yourself in his shoes. From what I understand, linemen are the most unselfish, pack-dwelling football players in the world. Maybe not the world, but in football for sure. But from my understanding, if you're a lineman letting down a defensive lineman, what is worse? What do you think is the worst feeling? A tackle in a game allows a blind, just lets a free runner go. That was definitely his guy, and the quarterback gets sacked and knocked out for the season, or not being in a game because you didn't get paid enough, and your agent was going to make less money because you have enough money, And the reason that you're playing football is not for the money, much like the reason why Coach Saban and Lee Corso are on College Game Day has nothing to do with the money. It's a they never never played the game or coached the game to win or lose, not because winning or losing wasn't important, because it wasn't the basic thing that achieved winning. They cared about every time you hear a coach talk about a losing streak, back to the fundamentals, back to the fundamentals. Like science, whenever we actually did science and had experiments, like if the experiment failed, you fucking started over. Like society, we never like for us to start over, we literally need a fucking asteroid to hit us. Like, is that why Elon is trying to fix vision and all this other shit with Neuralink so he can suck all of the consciousness that he's aware of into this thing and make a bot thinking that we're going to reset society? It sounds a lot like an Anunnaki, right? Isn't that like the start of the Anunnaki thing? Like, what do you like? Wouldn't that what an Anunnaki would evolve to? Like, if you think about it, right? It's weird. It's super weird. Super weird. How the fuck did I get from Lee Corso to Elon Musk being the fucking creator of an Anunnaki? Oh, that's wild. No, but that's like the value exchange. The like I was going like as I was running through being disappointed in this not being what I wanted it to be. I keep going into the direction of like, how could it be what I want it to be? And like, you gotta take some wild leaps in that ordeal. But like, I don't think they're so wild in this one exchange. And like, this is the beginning of if I really, really want, if I really want my reality in my head that I think I would enjoy to exist, I have to be okay with all of the outcomes, right? It's like, what if it's successful? I mean, saying Dumb and Dumber, like saying there's a chance. I'm like, I don't have anything to lose, but like I don't know of anyone that would like be affected by that. Like it's like this could be the greatest thing in the world, but it also could be the ultimate end, and it could end a multitude of ways, right? Like it could end with me being super old at 80 years old, kicking the last field goal, Pat McAfee's field goal thing, because it's become so absurd and the wealth needed to make it interesting is so vast that it's become the joke that it should have been from the beginning. And I'm going to celebrate my 80th birthday and do the kick. And in doing the kick, I slip, fall, and kill myself. And then nobody can do the kick again. Like that's a way I could die. I'd be fucked up, wild, but it's like an option, right? Like, and for you to get to there, you would have to go through me. You'd have to go through the acknowledgement of understanding that we're both aware of being aware of each other, creating a system outside of the system. Like Pat, like I think I wrote that the make believe, this crazy idea that I have. I call it the third place because, like I said, there's three places. There's competition. There's government, and then there's this third place that we have yet to give a title. We just like, and like I'm not the first one to say that there's a doctor or something that made it up and talks about it. But like, that's a real place, right? And like if you look at that place, it's a spectrum of complete and utter competition, which is basically the bottom of the barrel, and like civilization has gotten so big that it's like it has another system inside of it, and that's what the society is. And like the society has run so many simulations, right? Like that's why we call it a simulation, right? Like you're continually simulating things, and as the line gets bigger and bigger and bigger until everything becomes in line, and then it compacts into one thing where you like don't ever have to think about it again because it's like a part of you, like driving or or walking, right? Talking. You don't. It's not a part of you. Like you dream in English, right? Or if you dream with like, it's weird. Like how often do you actually see mouths in your dreams, right? Super. Like I just thought about that. Like how often do you see when you're talking to people like you know it's them? Like I know that I'm talking to you, but when I'm in the experience, I know that I'm like having the interaction that I'm dreaming I'm interacting with. But when I try to re-experience it or to look at the history, like I don't see the like all of the detail. But as I move further back in time, like if I move further back in time, I can see the consistent things that I encounter, the people that I care about, all of those things. Hold on a second. Like that right there, I feel like there's an equal amount of chances that anybody's listening to me and nobody's listening to me with the air that I got. Like I probably could go look, but I don't want to. Um, I think if it crashed and nobody sees it, to tell it's it's a sign from God that maybe other avenues should be sought. Like that's what the simulation is. You get pushed back until once you hit the move, like when you're experiencing it, you know it's happening. So like once you get the slap, like when your girlfriend first breaks up with you, or you first have that instinct. You first like when you first make like do the right technique at something, or like realize something is a possibility. You have that's the experience. Like you feel everything. Like it's that falling off of a roller coaster feeling, or fear when you're about to go flying, or excitement that's for going on stage. Like that's what the purpose is to have those experiences where you have that energy, that excitement, because whenever you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, that energy, that falling feeling is always kind of expanding a little bit. Like it usually goes up in your chest a little bit, and like you feel good, and then it goes in directions also, but like that's the basics of it. And and then if you hit something that's not in the direction of your purpose, you have a different reaction, right? It's the same initially at that initial moment, if you go back to when the moment that you became aware of whatever that thing is, everything is the same. It's just a matter of what the moment before you thought that moment was going to be. If you predict that moment correctly or sort of correctly, you get that uplifting, expanding feeling because you were right, and you get to move a little bit faster. And whenever you accelerate, there's that little poof. But whenever you slam on the brakes in the car, the seatbelt drags you forward. That's the experience. But once you get the car to speed or the plane to speed or whatever you're moving the speed, it doesn't matter what speed you're going. You're going the speed that you're supposed to be, right? And that's the purpose of everything. That's what we're supposed to be trying to help each other achieve. We're supposed to be trying to do that. And to do that is to publicly hold people accountable for like their lack of understanding in the value exchange. Like there's the lack, like once value and wealth become the same, you just have wealth, right? And so if value is what you're doing and you see that wealth is just overtaking everything, every time you see value be welcomed into wealth, you want them to maintain value, direction, purpose, value, purpose, and like value and is just a matter of being indifferent to it. Like I don't. It's like, how much do you really care, right? Like you have, like those kids that drowned in Texas, right? Like, is it sad that the kids drowned? For sure, it's sad that the kids drowned. It's sad when any consciousness is removed or reset or whatever you want to call going back to wherever it is we came from, or not being anything, because those are kind of the two options that are available. And much like the acceleration of a car or falling from a building, that first part of the experience you feel, after you experience something, you feel it, but you don't fully understand it. And that first little instance that you feel it is the value moment, right? Like that's what we're supposed to be trying to achieve, is that that UV light graph. Like I think there's something called the UV catastrophe, which like they predicted UV light would have unlimited energy and they were going to build the world and like all of this other stuff, much like other things that we have. Like we can just print money and it will always be recognized as value. Like that can't be true, because an hour is still an hour, but $7 is not $7 anymore. And that's where the disconnect is. And like the funny thing about all of that is like you have all these podcasters like David Batt and all of these things and Joe Rogan and all of these people are like, if you if you don't have capitalism, how would you exist? And like we forget that capitalism didn't take over everything right away. I think capitalism is like a necessary thing, but like there definitely needs to be. We definitely need to let the people that want to take care of themselves and each other take care of themselves and each other, and like I think we're at that impact point, right? Like everything needs an impact point to either start or to have or to be redirected, right? Like redirection is disappointment. So there you have, from the time you become aware of each other and aware that the other is aware of you, like that's kind of what consciousness is being aware. The action, which is the first me being aware of you, and then the reaction of you making yourself aware to me, and then the consciousness is the level where we start, that bounces back and forth. So I know that what I'm doing is the complete opposite direction of what the norm is, but I need this to either be absorbed into reality or rejected as a horrible idea. And that's kind of what I was walking into as I was hitting the record button of like there's no coming back from starting, and once you start there's really no point in stopping, because if anyone's aware of it, the reaction is done and it's going to ripple, and if it's going to ripple to the point of which you're not going to exist anymore, you might as well make the biggest ripple that you can, right? Like, isn't that kind of what it is? And like that's another reason why like the Pat McAfee thing is so frustrating, because I don't know the story. I only know what I've picked up through anecdotes while listening over the last whatever. But from what I understand, he's very proud of the fact that he went to West Virginia and doesn't like know if the campus even has a quad. Interesting thing to brag about, especially when a non-significant part of your audience is non-insignificant. Like I wouldn't know how many people are like watching or observing your show and getting value from it that you would not be able to measure in any way, shape, or form, because I don't even think it's accounted into the equation or that you're even aware that it exists. But like there is that small of a level that nobody thinks that it's appropriate for you to have to think about, but it's there. And if you're the person seeing it, and the value changes, like then you get to go through the thought process that I just went through, that I'm going through, which is like, is the juice worth the squeeze? And like you can't know the answer, so you have to be okay with all the answers, and that's fucking terrifying, because there are so many answers that I know of, and I know there's ones that I don't know, but like, what are they? And there's also a possibility that I don't know what they are because they don't exist. And that's super wild to think about also. Like, are you Neo? Is a really tough question to ask yourself if you're like not a psychopath. Like, it's like I'm not unaware of how absurd that sounds, but I'm also not unaware that like what I think has merit and could be useful in achieving what I envision, I guess. Like there's a non-zero possibility that this solves the problem, right? And excuse me, and like that would be super awesome, right? Is it worth risking like international ridicule or interstellar ridicule or however big this thing gets? I mean, it would have to be for you to push the button if you're like, if you know everything, right? Like if you know everything, it has to be okay to go forward because you know everything about it. Um, that's why kids think they know everything because they do know everything about their reality, right? Like their reality is like I have a doll and I go to tea, but like or like go back to like peekaboo, right? Peekaboo's terrifying the first time that you do it, right? Like you you know something's in front of you and then somebody puts their hands in front of it and it goes away and you're like, I don't know where the fuck it went. But then you realize so now you have to like realize that there are hands. And then once you realize that they're hands, you realize that hands don't take up everything beyond hands. So like uh, it doesn't eat the person behind the hand, or that person behind the hand just like ceases to exist, because those when you're a baby are really the only two options that you have, um, and you're just constantly performing that like it doesn't exist or it's either everything or it's nothing as you go past barriers and barriers. And with like with where we're at, like we're now aware of other things like ours. Like there are other things that other people that think the way that I do in all or one or none of the ways that I think, up to and including one, and up and including everybody. Like those are options for everything until you test them, until you test it. Like that's why survey companies don't make any fucking sense to me because it's like, how do you know? Like, how do you know what factor matters? How do you know? How do you know what is the difference between causation and correlation? Like, how do you know? Like, how do you know unless you ask everybody that this is applicable to? Because until you ask everybody, the options are still okay. And like, I understand that like you count everything and do this, that, and the other thing, but like, there's so many ways to manipulate this. Like, that's that's why like to have a true democracy, um, you would need to get everybody's vote, including the people who don't have a vote, right? Like it's like we forget the indifference and we act like only the people that take action are people that are affected by the decision. Um, it's like if you think about it, if we put if you put 20 people in a room and say, go have donuts, and only 2 people go and get donuts, but you bought a dozen because there's 12 people, but only 2 people go over and get the donuts, and they eat them all, was the value of the donuts exchanged in the way that you wanted it to be? Because when you buy them, you have an expectation of what is supposed to happen, and like, what did you buy the donuts for? Like, most people that are organizing things or planning things, or they have a purpose, they count it, like they want to make sure the appropriate amount of items are appropriately distributed for the assumed expectation of the gathering. And if you're buying a bunch of donuts, what is your purpose for buying them? Is it to give everybody a donut, or just have donuts for anyone to have? And whether everybody takes one or nobody takes one, it doesn't matter, because that really wasn't the purpose of the donuts. Like, the purpose of the donuts was to make an effort to show a way for value to exchange, knowing that you're exchanging value with a non-inclusive or non-total sample size of people, right? Like, some people love donuts, and if you're in the right location at the right time in the right situation and all that, like, all 12 of them are going to want a donut. And there's going to be a group of them that are going to not want to have a donut, and the reasons for them not wanting are all going to be different also. So, like, if your purpose is to exchange value with somebody, it should be done in a way that, or done with the intention that nobody's going to care. Also be done with the intention that some people are going to care, but they're going to care in a way that you never even saw coming. And I think, like, we're set up to just be in this, like, perpetual motion thing. Like, get up, go to work, do this, and we never just stop to see the options that are out there to solve the problems that we have. Like, the guy that I had the conversation with about I hope that we get to a day where people aren't recognized for the colors of their skin, but the merit of their actions. And, like, the guy responded with, too bad that the guy that wrote that was killed by the people that he was trying to save. Is like, yeah, but, like, he knew that going in. Do you think that Martin Luther King Jr. made it to that point in his life where he went, there's a chance that I get shot, but that's okay, because what I'm doing is more important? And, like, it's super weird. I don't know, it's convenient, right? Like, it's convenient that the dude wrote Chaos, and, like, the same time in history, you had the black. I'm sorry, I'm not a race expert. I've never experienced it. I know it exists. I know, but I don't know anything about it. But I also know, like, you're never going to get rid of ignorant people being ignorant. Like, you're never going to get rid of that. Like, the best that you can do is show who the people are that way, and let the other people make the choice of what they want to do. And like, if you choose to make it a big deal, then it's always going to be a big deal. And much like people getting pissed about ads in NFL RedZone, like, you act like it's only there. How many LRAPs are you going to see that NFL RedZone isn't going to go to another game for? Because they can't, because they're on there. So now we have LRAPs while games are on, and now we have LRAPs even when the games aren't advertising to us. So, like, what the fuck, man? Like, it's not 15 seconds. Like, it's more than that. And, like, I don't know if, like, the history of this is relevant, or if I'm making it up, but, like, I was alive in a time where we used black and white rabbit ear TVs. Like, you had to, like, hang on to the antenna for it to go. And I remember we were all sold this. I remember my mom and dad talking about cable television, and my recollection of the conversation is that they were both interested in getting it because it would provide activities that the family could do together, and it wouldn't have all the commercials that the rabbit ears have on it. So at the time, I think my dad was a teacher, so we didn't have a lot of money, and like I said, I don't know if this is true, but like, this is what I see happening in my past and happening to, as Boston Connor says, not real fans of NFL football, who are real fans because they pay for the experience that event provides, and part of that experience is not having LRAPs. That was the important part of that. It's no commercial football, and now there's commercials, and the advertisers has already worked it around it in a way that we were not in control of, so we had to accept. And now we're in control of it, and we don't like it, because now we have to make a choice. And as it said, that we don't like it, but we're going to see what happens. And I would be interested to see, to be interested to find out how many people know that, like, the RedZone channel, I believe, is like on basic cable in Europe. Like, how wild is that? Like, we're paying a subscription fee for it, and they get it for free. And I believe that's the same thing that the NFL is doing to Americans, where they're putting the LRAPs in so they can be on cable, but it's not on like a basic television service. We're going to get charged a premium for it. And like, the fact that cable was supposed to be without commercials, and it became the monstrosity that it is now, is upsetting, because it's also how the internet was proposed to us, where we were going to be able to connect with people, and it was all going to be free, and we were all going to be able to do it forever and ever and ever. But they've done a good job, like the they misunderstand the exchange of value and like how the spectrum works, and like they hijack so many words. So if I say the word spectrum, it sounds bad, but like it's not how it's like everything is a spectrum. It is, there are three areas: A, B, and indifference, where how you are indifferent to one side or the other, where you fall, and in relationship to being even indifferent to the system as a whole. Like it makes that sphere, it makes that gravity graph. Like that's what gravity is, and that's the same thing that's happening around. That's what happens around people. That's what consciousness is. That's what society is. Consciousness is the the realization of everything in your, like I said, the creation of the universe is that point at which I say I know everything about what I'm about to do, and then I do and that's the step of bringing it to that next system, like my imagination from reality to existence, like passing that barrier of existence. That's where the hole gets punched. Um, and it's fucking like letting water out of a water balloon. It's just fucking chaos. Like letting air out of an air. Like the it it's it's crazy to there. It's impossible to describe, and unable, like uncontrollable. Like it's hard to control. Like if you think about poking, if you take a balloon and you float it in the air and you like poke a hole in it and the air releases and nobody has a hand on it, like it flies all over the place. And if you think about the air particles that are flying, or the water particles from the person that blew the air into the balloon, those water particles are being jettisoned out of that hole into air that's not moving the same speed as it, and and doesn't have any understanding of how it got there or where it came from. And then it has to assimilate, right? Like that's like the cycle, like that water molecule from the person who blew up the balloon, or the water molecule in the gas that, like, I think there has to be like something, like a molecule of something that would is like three things held together. Water, H2O, right? It's two parts oxygen and hydrogen. Like the hydrogen observing the oxygen. Like that's why it says be like water, because water flows, water absorbs, water breaks apart and then returns together. Like that's the cycle that everything needs to go through. Like we need to understand. Um, Once we become aware of everything, then we're like, oh, and you acknowledge it, like the acknowledgement of the acknowledgement of I don't want to say wrongdoing, or just like unawareness to cause disappointment, because that's really the only time you need to apologize, right? Like you aren't typically even aware, because you don't take the time to think about all of the interactions between systems that go well, right? Like it's they're so ingrained, uh, they're so programmed into whatever it is that they've become part of the like consciousness that that it just flows, like that's the like it just passes through as it's needed, and then the energy, like consciousness doesn't have, it has energy, it has a value like that. I think that's where we like the 1984, right? Like it sounds like a horrible thing to like uh to have somebody like somebody's making a language, somebody's observing everything that you do, and definitely is presented in like a super dark and horrifying way. But like if you think about it, like it's the same thing that like why we're terrified of AI, but we need AI. We need AI to avoid being crushed by the rockets. Like Elon Musk can't figure out fucking how any of this shit works. That's why he invented AI, because he can put all that shit together and he can test it out and make it go. And there's a non-zero chance that a big fucking Earth killer comet hits us and we all die in the next 10 years. So, like, we're about to find out in a real unfortunate way whether or not we get told the truth on things, right? It's fucking, and like that's what knowledge is, right? Like that's where the breakdown of everything goes. Is I don't know. I don't have any evidence, any research, any documentation other than like shit that I saw on YouTube. But it was presented in such a way, and I've had such experiences that I've seen things falling in the sky, and I know that they launch things into space. That there's got to be some shit out there, right? Like you just progress. Like I think that's what intuition is like you're able to go out as far as you can go and be like, yep, certainly could be a thing. Like as it comes closer to being a reality, that's when like all of the definition is. And then as it's about to crush you and end your consciousness, that's that bright light, right? Like that's that where the experiences that you've had, we call them moments, but they're the experience. Like the things in between the experience we never remember, right? Like we those just pass by us like water. Like those just float by in the experience, and they go on to be the next person. And like that's the reason why waves act like particles when you measure them, and act like waves when you don't look at them, because the waves are what's around us. Like it's the way that light works in the dimensions that we have. And like I said, we experience in 5 dimensions and live in 3D. A lot of us think that we see in 3D, and you can't see in 3D. Like you can't get to the next dimension unless you realize what you're doing, right? You see in 2 dimensions. Just go back to the way like graphics on your video games used to be, right? Like it just looked like one flat surface. But as the people making the monitors and making the graphics cards and making the computers, they realized that like there were something called shadows. But like where did they get shadows from? They got it from looking at an artist draw a picture, right? And then where did an artist get a picture from? Like they got it from sitting somewhere and sharing the experience that they were having through their drawing, right? Like do you really think that that person realized that the exchange of the person drawing, do you think the person drawing the picture that made digital graphics a thing, like the realization of shadows, the being aware of shadows, do you think that that person is aware that that was a possibility? If they were aware that it was a possibility, would they think that it's a good thing? And if they think that it's a bad thing, would they still do it? And the answer should always be yes. Like, she was doing what she thought her experience should be. Like it's the way it should go. Um, Now, should we have stopped before before we invented Grok and AI and like this possible all-consuming virtual reality, live forever, exchange your consciousness, and be stuck in a computer forever without any way to die? Unless you're able to exchange value, like that Upload television show I think Amazon has on it. Um, I don't think that I don't think that was the way that was supposed to go. But that's where we're at. Um, but like I said, I do think AI was supposed to, AI. We're all supposed to have a Jarvis. I think. I don't think that. I think if we're going to keep going with this capitalism, right wing, left wing, yeah, we all need one because we're never going to be able to stop and like find the purpose that you need. Find your purpose, and then find your purpose and realize that you're safe, or that whatever, realize that it's okay for all possibilities to exist, and no matter what happens, like there should be no reaction to any other purposes, right? Like if you're doing that, then we're all going in the same direction, or you're going in the same direction that you're supposed to be going. Um, that's kind of how it looks. And like, would the the question that I have is like, since in my experience, in my version of reality, and like having this moment and literally spending spending 7 years, like not 7 years, like almost like 2 years or an entire life or whatever, like as you go back, you like see different things, like how things influence other things, and like the butterfly effect, and being able to go back because they were an experience that you had and relive it in a moment that you have in like a moment that you're experiencing, so it can guide you through making the right choice. Like that's what needs to be achieved. Like that's what we need, is to be able to have that level of value exchange where like it just happens. Like that, I like reading Tao, the book of Tao Te Chi, I think it's called. I don't know, but it's a language transferred from another language based on like hundreds of years of agreeing, right? Like truth is just lies we agree to tell each other. Like it could totally mean something different than what's being said. But at the time this book is being translated, it's being translated from, I'm going to say Chinese, but it might not be. And like the Bible, they say Jesus walked on water, but like if you called somebody and they own a boat and they're on a boat and you ask them where they are, what do they tell you? They usually say they're on the water. Like they don't say they're in a boat, or there's enough of them for me to think that it's a thing. And if that's a possibility, there's a possibility that the miracle of Jesus walking on the water, for whatever reason, is just him paddling across the fucking river, right? Like it's the same thing of going through, I don't know, he parted the Red Sea. Like maybe it just means he crossed the Red Sea, and we just use parted because like that is kind of a if I don't have a word that means the word I'm trying to do, I may just like jump to that one, even though like you get the gist of what I'm saying, but it's like not even close to what I mean. Um, like like the word bitch, right? Like if you walk up to a woman and say that she's a bitch, she's gonna take offense to that. And like the only reason somebody if if we're using the correct analogy of like football, like you're always looking for a dog, right? Like what is a dog? Um, a dog is is somebody working within a system um, for a purpose that is relentless and unwilling to accept anything other than his intended purpose. Right? That's my definition of a dog. Right? It's that side of competition of the competition arc where winning it's getting close to that. Winning is the only thing, but it's like winning for my team is the only thing. Uh, and when the team isn't playing, like everything's cool. Like that's um, who is the guy? Who is the guy in the 49ers guy that the story was like he pissed on his desk and he's like, I get angry and I do what I want to do, and there's like voices in my head and I have different personalities. They'll call it split personalities, but he was like fucking perfectly normal. I get that. Like that's a real way to live. To to have like everyone says that there's like the devil and the angel on your shoulders, and like that's exactly what it is. If you think about it, like why is that weird, right? Like why is it weird that to openly admit that you have voices in your head and that they talk to each other? Why is it so wild to accept or wild to be able to say out loud without having somebody ridicule? Because it's like it's super interesting because children like it's interesting because like if you think about it, like you had you had imaginary friends when you were a kid, and I firmly believe that children are the beginning of the experience. Like they experience everything, and they experience like that's the part of the memory, like that's the part of the chain on the birth side, and like the people side, on like the human side of the Big Bang, of the reality starting, right? Like when that kid is born, like you start crying because it's like so much experience. Like if you experience too much, it hurts. Like it's uncomfortable, right? Like if you like sex, right? Like if you ever watch like nature fucking is wild, right? It starts like it's just a fucking storm, right? That's nature fucking. It starts off with like a soft breeze, which is like the tree, the air or atmosphere or whatever the layer, the protective layer of the the system is, right? Like there's like it's like the A and the B. It's that spot where where uh, where capitalism meets communism, I guess, or indifference to wealth. I don't like using communism. Indifference to wealth, where capitalism meets indifference to wealth, like that, where they meet in society and where they meet in in people's realities, it's going to be messy. Like it's going to be chaos because for the people who are 100% about their side working, it's like going through that hole. Like, you now one, like, that's what I think, that's what like all of these ists are. Like, ists are people realizing that the thing that they held on to, like, their reality is wrong. Like, think about any time that you've done something incorrect. Like, you've always been jutted, right? Like, and knowing that somebody's been accountable is kind of important. And I think the other reason why the writing of this very detailed thought on the NFL red zone thing is that accountability is important for all things to coexist, right? Like, that's what the prisoner's dilemma says, is basically that without dedication and accountability, there is no trust, and without trust, there is no society, right? But the part of society that holds that package together is the indifference of the need for trust, right? Like, when trust only comes into effect when you don't trust somebody, right? Like, if everything is going smoothly and everything is working the way it is, the way that you think that it's supposed to, then doesn't even fucking come a flicker, right? So when you trust that, like, somebody has your back and they don't, it's disappointing, right? Like, it's like the only way to have trust is to have transparency. And the only way to have transparency is to know all of the knowledge that there is to know. And as we get more and more into deferring that responsibility to computers, we get further and further away from a reality where our consciousness is shared, right? And that sounds stupid, but, like, what if aliens, right? What if aliens, the number of fingers on aliens' hands are the number of iterations of consciousness for them to achieve a unified consciousness, so that they could build the technology to be able to travel among space. And, like, the ones that we have coming have like 2, and now they're having 3. And I'm going to bet that at some point there are pictures of 4, and then eventually there's going to be 5. And if we don't figure it out this time, maybe the next time we have 6 fingers. And, like, the fingers on your hand is like the number of times it took you to figure your shit out. And the reason why they keep coming more and more in fingers is because whatever it is that our consciousness is admitting, because just like people, consciousnesses, there are other consciousness among whatever the system that you're in. So there's certainly other consciousness that have reached the point of like being aware of awareness, or being aware of other consciousnesses and seeking them out, because that's what existence is. If you look for it, then you're going to find it. So if you look for nothing, then, like, you're going to find nothing, and you're going to have an empty existence. And when the existence runs out of time, it's going to be it's going to be a sad light show. Like, your light show's not going to be very good. Like, I don't want... Super fucked up that this is... If anything ever happens, this totally gets edited in a way that makes me look super bad. Still totally doing it, aiming for the we all live happily ever after fairy tale ending, which isn't like happily ever after. It's just happily ever after isn't happily ever after. Happily ever after is understanding the totality of your purpose. Like that I think is where like a disconnect in everything is, right? Like if you're existing in your purpose, then like there is no bad time. So like if McAfee is existing in a matter that his purpose is greater than him being made fun of, like there's a non-zero chance that he might be a fucking genius. Like I admire what he has accomplished in the way that he's accomplished it. Like his story is literally, they're like, should have been arrested by jumping in the lake, but got out of it because of guardian angel, probably from accounts of stories that I remember hearing. Like should have been kicked out of college, but had a great coach that like nudged him in the right direction to keep him from fucking up. That all of these are just recollections. I don't know if they're true. I want to, like, everything that I say is not based on the reality we share, but the reality that I have made up in my brain at this particular moment in time, because I am stoned out of my mind. And the only reason that I'm doing this is like because I think this is the best way to explain like how a black hole works, how that from knowing everything from that pinpoint to where we trust that there's genius on the other side of the wall, right? Because that's what faith is. Like faith is knowing there's something on the other side of the wall. Faith is being stuck in that. Like we all trust that like there's a zero chance that some random dude named Simple Sean with a Theory of Everything Experience podcast is ever going to fucking make any significant change in any significant way. It's just not the way things work, right? Like that's what I was told all day is like understanding that recognizing people for things that don't matter to include them in something is literally like doing the opposite of what you're doing. And the problem is not the giving of recognition. Like a recognition is necessary in competition, but it needs to be recognized. Like it needs to be recognition for actions taken within the observed system. So like being black or being gay or being anything other than a fucking football player doesn't fucking matter when you're talking about football. Like, if you care about football, if you are watching football for the artful exchange of competition in which it provides you, you don't care who's playing as long as you have the best players on the field. And that's been I think the NFL has gotten to that point. I don't know, but I'm following like some YouTube videos of interviews with Morgan Freeman that I remember watching where he's like, and there's like a rapper, and he's like, Lil Wayne, I don't know, that's probably really fucking wrong. There was a rapper that had an interview and was asked like what he thought about racism, and he was like, I've never experienced it. Like, I couldn't tell you. I guess that it's a thing, but it's not a thing that I've ever seen, right? Um, it's super fucking annoying to go back again. I forgot what I was talking about. Like, the circles of the idea is the gravity of the action, right? Like, I keep circling back. I keep going back to the beginning and starting over again and get to a point and get lost where I get shot out into indifference, right? Forget where the train of thought was going. Wherever it was going was not in line with the purpose that I'm trying to achieve. So part of got shot out into space and other part of it got shot back to the beginning, and we try it again and see if we can get a little bit further. Like, that's how the momentum changes. And what a thought is like, I'm not going back to the same spot every time. Like, I'm moving when I go back in the trying to explain the thought, trying to get every consciousness in every every wavelength in the fourth dimension to align with the wavelength in the third dimension, right? That's basically what you're trying to do. You're trying to find that equilibrium where there is no God, where it gets sucked down into just being a one consciousness looking at. Like, those are the those are the two directions that you're trying to go in, and they both lead to the same place, and it's always like one thing. Like, would you be aware that you're in another system? Like, that's kind of the the argument of the model, right? The simulation model. It's like, would you even be aware? And how would you become aware? Like, you have to figure out how to take the goggles off, I guess, right? And when you were a kid and you were curious about something, like my parents had always had us play with like Legos and Lincoln Logs and Kinects, and then they had like the hexagon one with a little fucking axle round shaped things, and that one got fucking crazy. But you always, they always, when we were little, we had playtime like that. Like, we would sit around and we'd play with those things. And like, I remember as a kid, and maybe it's not remembering as a kid or watching kids today, or like, we have this we have this friend that has like an 11-year-old kid, and like, we literally fucking sat around talking about Klein bottles, because the kid's just curious and just absorbs everything. And like, when you ask him questions like, what is this? And we do this a lot with kids. It's super weird, and it's interesting because kids have two reactions to me. Like, they're either very unsure of what to do, and kids don't really have, like, this is obviously well known, right? Like, kids still have whatever it is, that intuition that they feel, they experience. They're so close to the experience, right? Whether they're coming in or out of the experience, like, we're unsure, but like, the consciousness of a child is so close to the experience that they still have that intuition of like, I know in whatever minuscule way that you could not be bad for me. So I'm going to stay in this wide orbit and see if there's something that pulls me in, right? And I have that a lot with kids, and like, there's some kids who are just like, not about me at all. But then there are some kids where like, I get into the conversations like that, where it's like, what is the fourth dimension? What is a Klein bottle? How does it all work? And like, literally conversations with this kid, I don't know how old he is part of the reason why like I've gotten to where I am now, but is also part of the reason why I remember doing like the reason why I remember like this connects Lego experience, and like why we fail as a society now, and we've labeled just sitting as a waste of time, but it's in any of the books that you read about productivity and and being a vital contributor to democracy and perpetuating a free market, not one of them is without a moment to sit down, right? Like all of them are like, take 20 minutes away from work to plan your day tomorrow. Like that's sitting still and doing whatever you feel is coming to you. And the problem that like we miss is that we there are infinite layers of sitting and infinite layers of things getting done. Like the Tao says, like if do by doing nothing. And I'm pretty sure I've said this many times before, or at least I've thought it many times before. Like this is what I do when I do nothing. Is like I run through things that I have a response to, and then run simulations, because all of these things that we think are problems aren't problems without solutions. And the solution to every problem is to figure out where the problem started and make sure that it doesn't happen again. Like that's like a coach does in football. Like go back to basics. Like go back to where everything worked and then continue to move forward. I'm pretty sure like Saban said that on the Corso that I was watching. Like, and like you hear every coach say that. Like the West Virginia coach said that, like you just get back to basics. Bill Belichick. I hope I have them coached enough so they can tackle and do whatever. I don't think they're going to be very good. Like he understands where he is in the process of being basic. Like it's we don't take into account where the action that we are observing is on the spectrum of the value it's supposed to give or achieving its purpose, right? Belichick's been a coach there for 5 minutes in the grand scheme of things. He coached for 50 years. He was there for 8 months. Like, how much of his career is that? And there were a couple people that I listened to that was actually putting this into context, but there were a couple people that was like, much like what I'm doing, we're just like, I don't think that this is going to be a thing. But because there is a 1% of 1% of 1% of chance that this could happen, and I've got my buddies back who's just taking over this team, I'm going to pick them just in case, because I would rather be wrong and pick him as a loser than be wrong and pick whoever they were playing, TCU, have TCU lose and have picked them as a winner. Like that's exactly how that value exchange happened. I see it happening in my mind. Is like, I don't want it to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, I want to avoid having to explain myself to this person of why I didn't stand behind them. Like that's what the opposite of just because if I think you hate me, then I automatically hate you until I'm otherwise notified, right? I'm always going to believe my friend is going to win until somebody beats them. That's basically how that pick went. And then they, knowing that if they picked the wrong team, that there was going to need to be a conversation ahead of why did you pick them, right? And some ridicule and some reaction, just like a locker room. Like society should be a locker room. And the better the team is performing, the better the locker room is performing, and the better things all work. Like that's why I think the letter is important, because it's like we need to show people it's okay to be accountable, but and some people need to be reminded why the accountability is happening, and know the difference. The language needs to be created where there's the difference between the asshole that is just trying to get clickbait and the people that are genuinely offended because they're hurt. And then the next level of that is the people who can see it and are in your circle and be like, hey, you screwed up here. And then the protector of that inner circle, right? The outside of the team, the like, I don't want to get here because this is where I get jettisoned from the team, the coach. When the coach has to get involved, that's when it should be scary. And because that's the part of the system, that's the part of the team, that's the gatekeeper, that's the atmosphere, that's the membrane around a cell, that's the deflector shield for the team. That's the one that takes it on the chin anytime there is something that is not moving, that is not going in the direction of your purpose. It gets deflected. But it also goes the other way, where if there's something that isn't moving within the system the way that it's supposed to, it gets jettisoned from the system. So if you're encountering the coach, you're either in or out, or you're being considered to be moved in either direction. Like, he's aware of you. And depending on the way that he's aware of you, depending on the recognition that you receive, depends on like whether you're glad that you met with the coach, or disappointed that there was an action that you took that required a reaction from the coach. And that's how recognition for this, like, I don't mean to belittle it, but like stupid shit that's an ist, right? Like it's you're trying to put it on the fringe of something. Like you're making it like if it should be a conversation with a coach, when it really should be handled in the locker room. And the issues that we have are real and are important and need to be dealt with, but they need to be dealt with the people that it matters to. We need to stop dragging the people who are indifferent, the people who are trying to move in a different direction, into these conversations and into these fights and into these things, or even make them aware of it. Like, there's nothing that they're going to do, which is like super awkward, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Like, that's the weird part. Like, we don't like if you're on a team, you don't like when your dirty laundry gets aired out, right? Like, I think Vrabel is like, it like kicks reporters out or rats get there's rats on a ship or whatever. Like, I don't remember what it was, but like, if you think about it, like NFL football is a lot like society, and it's a lot like people. Like, it's not just football. So when you ridicule like Jimmy Johnson for doing what he did with what's his nuts that went to Green Bay, like, I don't think you go down the rabbit hole enough to see why A, it's genius, and why potentially harmful to the entire ecosystem. Football is an entertainment business. I think that's even what it's registered as, wherever you have to register things. So if it's an entertainment business, it's not
it's not a sport, right? It's not a competition. It's got other coaches. It's got other membranes. It's got other forces, other things that make it go. Um, that put us in a position where we need like LREPs on something that people work very hard to be able to achieve an experience of no commercials. Um, like you under like I'm never going to exchange wealth for an NFL game. Like there's no value. There's no wealth given to. There's no wealth exchange, right? Like it doesn't mean enough. I'm not a huge fan of any sport, but I love competition. I love artful competition, and I appreciate all of the hard work, dedication, and accountability that it takes to get to a level to be recognized by a significant part of my reality. Like that, the amount of action that it takes to get there is impressive, and dedication, and it's commendable no matter what you're doing. I mean that it may not always may sometimes be disappointment, or I may be disappointed in experiencing it, but like I I understand that my disappointment in your consciousness and your experience is only at the system that I observed it in. Like I'm witnessing people achieve their goals at a level that I can only hope to. Um, Knowing at this point, like now you're knowing that you're going to be doing it with everyone watching, and the NFL is a cash cow, as is being stated by many different people. So if it's a cash cow, why, if you owned a NFL team, wouldn't you try to squeeze every dollar out of it? And as a business owner, which Jerry Jones is, and somebody who is aware of a system, much like a legendary coach like a Bill Belichick or a Bear Bryant or whatever, somebody that they literally have to. He probably a Bear Bryant, because in Bear Bryant they needed to like create some scholarship rules or whatever for. I feel like that I heard that somewhere. But whatever. But like if you're doing it to the point at which the rules need to be changed because of what you're doing, then you're you're doing it right. Like those people are also doing whatever it is they're supposed to be doing at a level. Like we need like a government should have two laws, and then that's really all they should have. Like first law is don't take anything that isn't yours, and the only thing that you truly own is your experience. And then the other law is don't excessively exploit the system. Um, and that's it. And the only thing that it can determine whether the system is being exploited are the people providing energy or value to the system. Like that's how it works. Like that is society in a nutshell. And it encompasses all things, complete and utter competition, and and total freedom to be unified as one, with no guards, and you
you get knocked down to whatever the previous level was when you make a mistake, right? Like that's kind of how this works. Like if you're at the bottom of the barrel, like if you're like maybe like is that why overdoses are so high? Because like I gotta tell you, like I do believe that we should all be on drugs. I think we should all, but I think like real drugs, like I in in this experience of coming up and taking this action, um, I think I heard somewhere, maybe a Joe Rogan podcast, uh, about a guy who thinks that mushrooms are our gateway to anybody who's eaten a mushroom, something like that. And I think like that's the type of connection that everything has, and that's why I think it's like we miss the cycle of creation of the third dimension. We call it nature, I think, is the common term, like or like part of that dimension is nature, right? And we miss the cycle. Like we're all one. It's all flow, right? Where we have a thought, it expands. We speak that thought. We convert that thought into existence as we've gone through observing and explaining the process. We use the term of speaking it into existence, but like there's more to speaking it into existence. Like you have to be okay with all the possibilities, or be okay with the possibilities that you're aware of, and understand that there are possibilities that you're not aware of. And we don't operate in that manner, I don't think. I think we operate in a matter of we're just trying to avoid dying. Like it's like the standard American existence, that's sort of like the standard American diet is not about enhancing the experience. It's about it's not about enhancing the entire experience. It's about elongating the duration of the experience. Um, when you think about it, like everything we're doing is trying to bring more consciousness into existence and keep it in existence as long as we have. And if we convince them that their purpose is to be still, or is only to move in the ways that we dictated, or whatever, like whatever economy is, right? Like we're convinced that the only way to achieve value is through wealth, or whatever the mechanism is. When we've gotten to the point where we we think we want to live abundantly, but we don't know how to, right? Like the reason why we are infatuated with Pat, like the whole Pat McAfee experience, is because like just like Howard Stern, like you never know what the fuck is going to happen. And when you see him say like $300,000 for a kid to kick a field goal, you're like, holy shit, like that's like, you're like, what the fuck? But as you're going through that what the fuck, because every experience has that what the fuck, you based on where you currently are in your experience, in your reality, dictates your reaction, right? Like my reaction is typically like, good for him or good for her or whatever. Like I don't jump up and down and cheer. Like I don't really feel excited. Like it doesn't move me. I don't feel that falling, expanding feeling in any way. And it's like fun to watch. Like it's fun to watch people lose a bet, right? And like that's what it's fun to watch people lose a bet in something that in a way in which we perceive it to have value. Like the reason why you're excited from the kid is because you're kind of rooting for Pat to lose the money, and because there's enough money, because you're assuming that there's enough money to give away, it doesn't have any great effect on his existence. But if you're at a poker table and you know a guy is playing for their rent and they lose a pot, there's like an emotional response to it, whether it's good or bad. Like some people are going to feel bad for that person, but other people are going to be like, why the fuck are you playing with your rent money, right? Like they're both the same reaction to the same event. They're just observed from a different point of view. Like why? Like that's my reaction to things. Is like I might initially feel bad for you on the surface, but I usually think about it for a minute and end up going with you had to make a choice to be in this position. Why did you make that choice? Is usually where I get to. Like we call it victim blaming, but it's not. It's like it's how we got into this situation. Like it's seeing realities and never coming up with solutions. Like we're called them problems, but until there's no problem without a solution. If there's no solution to a problem, it's just reality. Like that's what this is. It's really like how do we get to the point where like we truly understand what together looks like in all of the ways. Like you need to have, like I said, society needs government and competition, and we think we want an authoritarian king that we vote for, right? Like that's what a president is. I want somebody who's a dignitary and articulate and appears good. Like you think you want that as your leader, as the head of your government, as the tip of the trident, as I think about it, like as I said, we're three things, but we're always one thing, and that's kind of how a trident works. Like if you're looking at it from the end, at the beginning, you may only see the one, but as you move closer and closer and closer, you're going to see maybe the second one. Maybe you see both the second and third one at the same time, but they look like three separate things. But then as you move further down and get closer and closer and closer, you see that they end up converting together into two things, and that's that U, right? Like the U becomes the two outside edges and the one, and then as you get closer and closer and closer, it becomes one. And then once it becomes one thing, it depends on who's holding on to it, whether or not, how well it's used, or whether it's used. Depends on who's holding on to the trident, or whether it's used as a tool or a weapon, right? But both of them are tools. Both of them are used to achieve the perceived purpose of the consciousness or the observer, or the one that holds the thing. I don't know if I want to write the article. I don't know if I feel like this is an action. Like I'm trying to put all of my thoughts out. in hopes of getting a reaction, like an acknowledgement of like I fucked up in a way that I didn't recognize how important time and the experiences that are shared over watching this in your reality. I made a mistake of how valuable that truly is, and equated it with wealth, not fully aware of how large the discrepancy was. And that sounds horrible. It sounds petty, but it's like it's something that we need to acknowledge from time to time when we trigger a reaction like is happening, where all of the people that are involved in it are responding and trying to tread water, whether it's because they're trying to save their own name or the face of or their own faces, or that's what what they're being told to do. It doesn't really matter why at that point, but it's they're doing it. They feel the need to take the action, and the only reason why you take an action is because you don't like the reaction, and the reaction that you're making is not addressing the actual issue. Like you're digging your hole deeper. By saying that it's only 0.02% of the time of watching it isn't the point. 0.02% of your time is worth, I don't know, you're getting paid $17 million a year. Most of the people that are having this reaction would never be able to imagine what $500,000 would be like. Maybe $1 million. And there may be people who make $500,000 and based on the principle of it are just like, this is fucking ridiculous. And the fact that your solutions that were provided were to watch it in a quad box, assuming that everyone has a quad box. Some of us are still on the subscription model that we were duped into in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, where we were paying for cable, which you're assuming that it's included in your subscription. And much like acquiring Pat McAfee, Disney made it very clear last year that they needed to raise the price of all of their platforms, like ESPN and the RedZone channel, which are included in those packages, and they're usually the premier packages that include a whole bunch of shit that nobody fucking wants to watch, but they have them, and those packages are a non-insignificant portion of a lot of people's income. I don't know how much they are. I don't pay for entertainment of that nature. If I can get it on streaming service or into rabbit ears, I don't watch it. So, but I can imagine that based on what I see coming across mail, I guess I don't do it so much anymore. But like last time I had cable and internet, it was like $100 a month, and that was I don't even fucking know. A long time. 10 years? Well, definitely 10 years. Yeah, 10 years, maybe. So it's got to have gone up since then. Like, it's got to be some ridiculous amount of money. And when you raise that price last year for them, for everybody, because I believe it was last year. It wasn't so recently ago that you had all those like ads popping up. Write your cable company because we want to negotiate the price and we need to keep them. And
the song and dance goes round and round and nobody pays any less. Like you always end up paying more for less quality stuff for what you're using because you're using cable and like they're the ones that are paying all of this shit. And then oh shit, now we're gonna move this to NFL Plus so you can watch it on your phone and your tablet and all of these other things. And like, okay, cool, we'll go ahead and do that because it sounds awesome. And I have no idea, but I'm assuming that probably went up as well. So now you have all that, and then you're like, oh well, go ahead and get a quad box. Well, quad box only works on YouTube TV, so I need to go and get a new TV because mine's not a smart TV because not all of us make $17 million. And just go out and buy a fucking TV every year. So maybe we have a smart TV, maybe we don't. Either way, we now have to buy YouTube TV, which is now, I don't know, probably fucking $100 a month. So now you have to make the choice of, all right, do I make sure I have a smart TV with YouTube on it, or just fucking suck it up and watch it on a regular mobile device? But I live in a normal sized apartment where a TV where I can go ahead and get an 80-inch TV, but it's going to look absurd, and I'm going to be sitting, I don't know, too fucking close for it to matter. And I guess it's a good thing. I'll look like I'm watching it. I'll look like I'm in the stadium because I'm so fucking close to it, and it takes up so much of the wall. Like, I guess that's cool. But like, the solutions that were always presented were always solutions that cost more. Like, it's not a big deal because it's 15 seconds. Yeah, that is the cost of adding the LRAP to the NFL network, NFL RedZone. But like, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back because we have all of the other costs. Like, that's where the Micah Parsons thing is going to be super interesting with Green Bay being a publicly owned team. Like, I have no idea how that fucking works, but like, it's kind of a model for my idea, right? Because I don't know how it works. So if it's a publicly owned company, or if it's community owned, I guess this is better. If it's community owned, like, does the community pay for everything? So like the team goes and gets advertising dollars to pay for most of its shit, right? So it goes to like these big companies like fucking Cocoa Puffs. No, those sound delicious right now. Fucking pharmaceutical company or like Nike or whatever, and they go and they say, I'd sell you this much space or this much time or this much that. Sell you something if you give me some money so I can go ahead and pay this player. And they go ahead and give them more money, and well, they need to get the money from somewhere because they need to keep making that. So they go ahead and they raise the price on all of their shoes. And like you said, nobody fucking cares unless you wear Nike shoes. Like, Nikes are all mine. If they don't wear Nikes, I would walk the other way. Pretty sure that's what I remember hearing. So we don't want anybody to walk away from us because we really care about what they think about our fucking shoes. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to buy those super fucking expensive shoes. Well, I need to pay rent. So I guess I'll pick up another hour at work and work some overtime because it's not taxed right now. And woohoo, we make more money. Time is worth more. So we work that extra overtime so we can get that shoe to pay for that advertising that the NFL needed to pay the player that we enjoy watching on Sunday. So now we go and we watch our daily entertainment in our office or in the airport or wherever on the other monitor at our desk or on our phone or whatever it is, however it is that we watch it, knowing full well that we're not your target demographic because you really only care about people who are in college. And that was kind of your marketplace anyway. That's your appealing audience. We understand that. That's given. We know that this is not specifically for us, but it is something that we enjoy, and it is something that we pay for in a non-insignificant way because now you're owned by Disney and they're paying you $17 million a year, and I just had a price hike for all my Disney shit last year. Again, this is not spoken from my perspective. This is spoken from our perspective, us as fans of the NFL, but according to Boston Counter, fuck you because you're not a real fan if you're upset by this. Now, the prices of all of our stuff have gone up because you've gotten all of the sponsors of the shit that we already bought advertising more shit to us that we would already buy if you just sent us a fucking email. So every time a player needs more money, that's the flow of the money. They're not taking the money from themselves. They're taking the money from the fans. The fans are more than willing to pay for the entertainment because of the value that it is providing them, whether it is a peaceful Sunday in their man cave watching violence and competition because they either have had or would have liked to shared that experience at that type of level, whether it is an experience of sharing a moment with someone that you care about and trying to take interest in what they do, much like the love of Taylor Swift is trying to do with understanding football. Well, that happens on levels that are much smaller than the most famous fucking music artists in the world. It happens every weekend, every moment of every day, in every area, on every different experience. And if it is a true moment, if it's a true experience, if it's actually love, how much do you value that experience if you've ever felt it? How much do you value that experience? If you want to experience it again, how much would you pay? Well, the NFL is going to find out, right? And some of us aren't going to partake in it. Like, some of us have reached that point of it is too much, and some of us are very near that point of it is too much, and they're voicing their displeasure. They're voicing their disappointment that they have to make this choice because there's no need for it. Like, what the fuck do you need 100 and whatever $47 million a fucking year for? Like, what do you do with that? Like, that's the part that, like, I'm sure that you do something. Like, I can't believe that it just sits in a fucking bank account. Like, if it does, like, that's where the anger is right there. The anger is from the fact that you claim to know, understand, and be around for, and you say things like, if they hate us, then we automatically hate you. And in some capacity, we all thought that we were a part of us when you said us. In some capacity, we wanted somebody in that system to fight for us, to be on our side. And it doesn't appear that you are. And that's what's being expressed. And that's the reality. Like, I wanted to, in my mind, I kept saying that, like, trying to think again.
I stop or do I go take another joint? There's a moment when I'm writing this in my head, and I'm saying I'm gonna fuck it up because it's something that sounds very, very stupid and crazy and nonsensical. Like, just like majority of everything that I've been murmuring for, I don't know, the last fucking 2 hours or whatever. Like it's really like, if you think about the hierarchy of this, right? Like, the people who are offended are the ones that understand that they're not your purpose. Like, they understand that they're kind of like, if you watch a rocket shoot off into space, you have that like mist and shit that like come off of the rocket, right? Like, we understand that we're that. Like, you're moving forward and we're going to be left behind. Whether we admit it to ourselves or not, like, we understand that that's the reality of what we're facing. And it's disappointing that we've reached that point where we're getting jettisoned from the rocket as it blasts off into space, which is what that explosion, like, that's where the light is. It's like that transfer of energy in that experience. That's how light works, right? Like that, like, it's like we understand that, like, yeah, like, waves ripple through everything, and the reason why they're dots when they're observed, because observation is just a picture. Like, it's a picture in time. So if we're taking a picture through the filter of our experience, because that's all that we can understand, when we take that picture of the light or of whatever it is, all we get is that dot, that, like a micro dot, right? Like, what the fuck, Mission Impossible, there was that micro dot on the thing. I never fucking heard of that, but like, it's exactly whatever it is when you take a measurement is. It's the micro dot with all of the information. Like, that's string theory. Maybe not string theory. I don't fucking know what string theory is, but like, it sounds like it is. But like, you take a micro dot, like a dot, if you're looking at it from the end, is just a circle. But if you tilt it, you don't know what direction it could be. Like, you could be like in the middle of a fucking knot, right? Like, you could just go up, down, all around, through its up. You don't fucking know. You just don't fucking know what you're doing. And like, the sooner you realize that you could be anywhere, like, you realize that you don't have to fucking be anywhere. Just fucking do you. And sometimes it's just fucking sitting talking into a microphone. Nobody's listening. There's a part when I wrote this, it was like that in the frame of mind that I want, if I write this, I want the letter, the whatever it ends up being, be received from the perspective of, like, I generally think, like, the thing that I wrote about Lee Corso creating a new universe of a new universe for television, and brought Pat McAfee into it. I think that's the same universe that, like, this idea operates in.
and I've been there for a while. So the way in which I want to construct the article is from the perspective of a coach in that universe. And I have to imagine that since nobody knows that universe even exists, to be a particle in that universe is incomprehensible, but to be a particle in that universe that is aware enough to coach another particle is kind of like a level beyond, I think, what people will get to. Which is sort of like somebody coaching somebody on a team that he didn't know he was on or that even existed, right? I think, or as some people call it, God, right? Knock knock, God's here. Like, that's absurd, an absurd thing to say out loud, where other people may hear it. But like that's how I want this to be presented. Of like, this is a teachable moment that there needs to be you need to be held accountable for at a level that is appropriate for the system that it was done in. I guess, if that makes sense. I think it's hard to describe that, but like everything I write sounds like at the beginning that it is to be a bad thing. It's really I really genuinely want to be a team in the Pat McAfee League, if that makes sense. Like, on the surface, it looks like we want to destroy. Like, you don't want to destroy me. You don't even fucking know I exist. Like it's fucking be real about that. Like, it's not you don't even know I exist, and it seems like I want to like take a negative action against it, or destroy it, or like make it non-existent. It's actually the opposite. I think that Pat McAfee might be a fucking genius beyond any recognition that we can think. Like, play this out in our head. Like, he plays a heel to the point at which he becomes so big that he infiltrates the biggest media company in the world, Disney, and one of their larger reaching shows that are available out there to influence the future, so the expanding influence of society. And he negotiates a contract that everybody thinks is absurd in a way that may appear that he is being puppeted by a big conglomeration. But then he invents this kicking competition, to which he says, when the first time somebody who can't kick a ball gets selected and the kid next to him goes, "I surprised somebody hasn't done it sooner," basically telling the entire world the way in which to exploit the game so he can give away millions of dollars to help pull less wealthy individuals into a position where they're able to not have to discern the difference between wealth and value. And he sees the way in which he becomes so powerful that he's indisposable to the Disney system, to where he's able to exploit maximum money, and by the time anybody realizes it's the wiser, it's funneled enough money to make an alternative place where people they don't have to experience the difference between value and wealth, because there is no difference between value and wealth, where they're all doing what they're supposed to be doing. And by doing what they're supposed to be doing, everybody is taken care of, because there are always going to be people who want to eat, and there's always going to be people that want to play and do art and do different things, but there are also people that are going to want to acquire other things, which is where you get the exchange of time for value. And when we're doing something for our purpose, like working, because nobody's going to want to mow a lawn. It's not entirely true, because depending on where you are on the spectrum of your purpose to whatever it is that would require you to take care of a lawn, you would be excited for taking care of that process, much like the steps are always in the process. Like everybody, you must enjoy the process, because like if you're doing it for the reward, you're always going to have to do it. You're always going to be like the golfer that says like he doesn't golf to make awards, he golfs to make the perfect swing every time. Like coaches don't coach to win Super Bowls, they coach to make the perfect play happen, or the perfect play call. Like play takes 12 seconds on the field, but actually to make that play happen takes hours and hours and months and years to make it happen. You have to have somebody think about it. You have to have something draw it up. So somebody convince somebody that it's a good idea, and then make it be a good idea, and then teach somebody so they understand the way that it is envisioned in your mind, so that they can perform it, and then like get them to perform it at a level that they understand what everybody else is doing to perform it. So it's like one cohesive model. So whenever there's a change, if the linebacker lines up in the A gap, or the safety comes down and is lined up off the end, like nobody needs to make a call. Everybody knows what everybody's going to be doing, and everybody knows. Like that's the goal of a coach, right? Like that's the goal of a team. That's the goal of like the team experience, where you can go and you can play that 12-second play, and trust that everybody's going to do their job within the system that they're doing it in. And if every person in every system does their job, then that play is going to perform it the way that it is supposed to. Like that's the player's job, like, is to know what everybody else is playing, and know that if everybody's doing their job, and I know what everybody's job is, and I know how everybody's going to do their job, then we've done the right thing. And we're going to trust that the coach is calling the right plays in the right order for us to win a game. And the coach wants to win as many games as he can. So the coach is calling plays in a way that is not only going to win that game, but he's going to win the next game and the next game and the next game. And if he wins enough games, then he's going to win a championship, which is why you're always focusing on the fundamentals. Because the fundamentals are, you need to have the fundamentals in order so you can get to the point at which the players all know the play the same way the coaches do. Like that's the order of value that you get from football. Like that's the order of value that you get from a team. Like that's the order of value like you have to express in society. Like how do we get to the point where my experience of, I mean, we're already there, right? Like the joke is like what do, like if you were ever to get this, like the way to get it is really simple, but it'll never happen. Because the way to get this is to just allow the people that want to take a break from capitalism, a clean break, where we simply just say, whatever you own of me, meaning all the debt that you have of mine, It just needs to be abolished, and anything that I own of you is yours. We're just going to cut ties completely as far as control and ownership, because that's where the two systems are. We don't have a value exchange. We don't have a proper value exchange. So if a bank owns your house or you're paying rent on a property, utilities, communication, those things are taken care of at whatever the cheapest value that's available. Because we're already paying, like, we already have contributed to the creation of the infrastructure. So we've already, like, you're already spitting out whatever it is at a minimum volume, and we're already on those things anyway. So if you put us at the minimum volume, that doesn't matter. Because information is important. Like, you need to have information, and you need to be taken care of as far as, like, knowing that you have a place to sleep. And, like, we're already in there, and what needs to happen for that to happen, because if everyone just walks off a job site, nothing's going to get done, and then the capitalist society collapses. And the capitalist society shouldn't collapse. Capitalist society is needed. Like, they need to exist. They need to be able to do their thing. And there's no viable value exchange or system created for like the people who want to achieve their purpose. So because society needs to run like a business, obviously. Like, you need to have a value exchange, and there is going to be a currency that needs to be created that's going to be based on something other than, like, printing shit. That's where Bitcoin comes in, I guess. All right, I'm out. Oh wow, that's super cool.